Hey everybody, we're live. Thanks for checking out another stream. This is the 38th week of me working on this thing, 38th episode, I guess, too, of these streams. My Saturday at 9 p.m. Pacific times. I'm up here in Canada, Vancouver. Uh, yeah, I recently posted a video kind of going over some of the features I've been working on in this project. Hopefully you guys can check it out if you want to check out some of the other videos on my channel, all these different streams I've been doing. If you like them, if you like this video, if you like if you want to support me, throw me a like on the video. If you want to motivate me and keep up with what's going on, subscribe. And I think there's like a little bell icon thing you can press too, to really lock in and know what's going on. So feel free, you know. Um, Anyways, this episode powered by Red Bull. Got a fresh one today, so we'll crack it open together. This is the end of my blue 4-pack that I had. So this month has been the blue Red Bulls. We'll see if I switch next episode. Cheers. 9 o'clock. Oh, I've got some wicked allergies today, so I'm hopped up on allergy medicine. So I'm a little drowsy as well, but bear with me. I've added some features today. Let's dive in. So oh no, oh there we go. Nice. I think I restarted my software because my mic wasn't working. So let me jump to the code real quick. Yeah, that's not working. Let me fix that. Beep. There we go. We got that back. So yeah, so here's the app. We got selection. I got that video where you guys can kind of see all the features. We're gonna add some more cool features today. Couple important ones. First one we're gonna do is you see the folder structure here. We're gonna completely redo this folder structure to be more like Windows-like, more like how I'm familiar with. Before it wasn't really like that, but I was having some issues with some of the naming and file some of the spaces actually. Spacing and file names can be a little rough with certain libraries, but I figured all that out, so we'll do that today. We're also going to do sorting and tooltips for the files because we're going to switch from using just the names to using a name plus the stats. We're going to get the stats when we open a folder. So let's dive in. Yeah, let's just dive into the code. So as usual, I have a branch that I've been working on. Episode 38 branch in my evenings. This one had 22 commits. Let me refresh. I think that's right. 22, yep. Not too many, but I think there's a few where unfortunately I did a bit of bouncing around where like I changed something and then changed it back. So unfortunately we have a couple of those commits, but I think we'll probably walk through them here. I'm going to do patches because there's some bulky ones. There's some big ones. Let's see what the first one is here. So I switched to Next.js Canary. Why did I do that? Did I decide to stick with that? I think I did that because it was causing some wonky issues. This was a nice fix, I think, is in regards to a linting issue. Let's just do package updates first, and we'll see what happens. Because I think I switched to Canary because of exactly a bad package update. But let's double check. Yarn outdated. Oops. You got to spell yarn correctly. That's one little caveat I didn't mention. Yarn outdated will tell me what is outdated. Looks like pretty much everything. So let's just do a yarn upgrade -- latest. So we upgrade the package JSON file. I'm fine with latest everything. Whatever I can... You know, if I get latest something and it doesn't work, unless it's the library's fault, that's where I'll have to jump to like a Canary version or just not upgrade. But other than that, I'm willing to go bleeding edge for the most part. This is still a beta project anyways, and sometimes you get performance improvements, you know? Usually I know if the bugs that are happening are because of the library or because of my code. Not always, though. Okay, so we got a bunch of upgrades. Let's double check here what the package looks like. Come on. There we go. So a lot of stuff updated. Next.js is not on the Canary one here, so let's see if it had any wonkiness with my ES linting rules, because I inherit the Next.js linting rules, and it seems like they changed those a lot. And I've noticed recently that they keep adding to those. So, I mean, it's cool. Next.js, they're good with updates. I'm happy about that. Come on, linting. I need a faster computer now. I don't know why my lints take so long now. I think I just have a lot of stuff. I think I set it up to double check types and everything too. Okay, so the issue it's complaining about is that same issue I fixed. Otherwise, it doesn't seem like I need to go to Canary. Let's fix that one issue. So I think it's a new rule that got added where it doesn't like this function here being not named. I think it's almost like useful for dev tools, for React dev tools, to have these functions have proper names like this, so that in the dev tools you get a bit of a better description as to what exactly happened. What is it here? Enhance app. Enhance. I don't know how to spell enhance. There we go. So we're just going to switch this from that to basically the same thing. Instead of an arrow function, which isn't named, we're going to switch to this function name type and call it enhanced app with a capital E because this is returning a component, which is basically, yeah, what's going on. So there we go. So we'll just do that one little fix, and I think that fixes the one linting issue. We'll run our other linters in a moment. Let's see what they pop out. Come on, lint, come on. In the meantime, we can already make our notes here. What was the commit message I used? So let's ignore this list. I don't care what I upgraded. As long as I didn't need canary, that's cool. But this, okay, I did that. Lock file, I don't care about. I'll use that wording. Package and Next.js doc updates. Okay. What happened here? Did that just not save? Oh, wait, this is the other issue. Oh, right, okay. Oh, wait, so the other thing didn't even pop up. Oh. Well, maybe I won't change this then. Screw it. Okay, so actually reading the message, I see that... I feel like last time there was a third warn one, and that was the thing where I changed that. But let's ignore that. Let's just fix this issue. So let's try switching to canary. What was it that I had to switch to canary for? It was like 3 things. Canary is like beta, basically. The beta the version before they release 11.1.3, or maybe they'll jump to 11.2, maybe they'll jump to 12, who knows. But we need to upgrade next. We need to upgrade. Oops, let me not jump you guys here, but oh. I'm gonna move over here so I can type this. Next at canary. We want the linting plugin at canary. And what else? This one we want at canary. So what I'm going to do here, if you see, I'm running these where I've done at canary. So I'm saying the version that I want is the canary version, which is like the beta that has the linting fixed because I found it in comments. I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to blow my nose and mute my mic because, like I said, I got allergies. And this will take a few seconds. So let's do it. Beep. Except you have to type the word install, of course. Oh, add? Is it add? I think it is. In fact, some of these aren't dev, too. Ugh. Let's do these one at a time. Because these two are dev specific. This one's not, so we'll run that one. I'm going to do my nose. Apologies for that. Hopefully it won't happen too often. Okay, so this is going to upgrade Next.js. Looks like we're at Canary 24 now. And I wonder if it saved that command I typed. Oh, nice, it did. So then we'll do these two, but the difference was I want to add this flag -- save dev, or is it dev? Just dev. There we go, so that those don't go jumping up to the other dependencies. Here we go. So now canary, canary, canary. So now when I run linting, let's see. The issue basically was it's like saying that, oh, you shouldn't be using next document outside the document file, but I actually was using the TypeScript document file, which is totally legit. But they weren't detecting for that properly. But as you see now, it'll pass linting, as it did. So if upgrading the package gets rid of your linting rules, then it probably wasn't your fault, typically. We're going to go with canary for now, and hopefully it works out. Okay. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but feel free to throw messages in the live chat. I'm always up for chatting about the code and such. And also, if you're seeing this after stream, then throw something in the comments if you want, and it's much appreciated. Comments, criticisms, concerns, that kind of thing. Okay, so that was our first commit. Darned if I didn't copy the name. Let me just copy it over here. Package and Next.js doc update. Yeah. Although, did I do this in the end? I never needed to, did I? Oh, but I wrote it in the commit. Darn it. Whatever, it's done. Okay. Next. So that was all I did that day. That was not a very productive day. What about next here? What day was the 12th? I don't even know. Sunday, I think. Always prevent scroll on focus. Ah, yes. This is just in general rule that I've been doing that I forgot to do in that case. Is that when I call the focus command, I always do prevent scroll because I realize now that it can make a mess of things, kind of. Here it was here, I think. Yeah, it was that one in the process functions. There we go. Save that. It'll auto import the one that I wanted to, as it did. And I'll commit that. So also I could just quickly show you what prevent scroll is. That's just my little constant that I've made for this little syntax. Prevent scroll true is the right option for the focus argument. You can also inspect it here, go to definitions, focus options, and you can see here prevent scroll is, looks like the only option. But it's important because I don't want any scrolling going on. But I like focus. Were there any others? I don't think so, not in my code. Just that one. So always prevent scroll on focus. That's good advice. Unless you want it. Often it's wanted, but for the way that my app/website works, I prefer to completely control focus. So even the way that focus does things, I am picky about. Add touch handler for mobile drag title bar effects. What did I do here? Oh, okay. Right. So I was playing with mobile a little bit, and I noticed that, what was it? Was drag handling not working? Add touch handler for mobile drag title bar effects. Let me check here. Oh, it's complaining at the moment. I wonder why. Oh, let's restart the server. Jump over here. We'll just kill this one and start another one. Sometimes that happens when you upgrade Next.js. It wants you to restart it. So yeah, if I just do a simulation here in mobile, as soon as it loads, drum roll of slowness, come on. I think it's loading. I'm not crazy, am I? I mean, I am crazy, but it is loading at the same time. 3, 2, there we go. Okay, so switch to device mode, open up a window, so I can drag, but watch, if I double tap, it doesn't do anything. And if I double click the icon, it doesn't do anything. If I click maximize, it works. But the double clicking here is not working versus when it's like this and I double click this, there we go, it maximizes. And if I double click the icon, it closes. So the fix here, I'm just going to use a patch for this. So I'm going to switch to .patch and save that to my desktop. We'll jump back to the code. Then I'll put git apply user/Dustin/desktop/ whatever gibberish name it had. 4.7 blah blah blah. There we go. And then the changes will apply here. And we can take a peek at them. So what is this? Did I add prevent scroll? Oh, because I added another focus? Ah, yes. Okay. So before, basically, there was this class called handle that works for the React R&D resize and drag library. But I've switched it to an object here and I've moved it up here so I could define the class. And I'm also defining this on touch. The reason I did it like this is kind of to associate them. I could have put this down here, but here it's like, okay, this piece is necessary for drag. So the same class handle, but also an on touch start capture, where if there's a target, then I click it. So I turn a touch into a click. Now, why do I do that? Oh yes, I went through the React R&D library and noticed that they actually, on the touch events, were acting differently and disabling the click effect that I wanted. But this allowed me to fix that, was doing a click on the element and then actually focusing on the window. Ah, okay, focus wasn't working either. Right, so it basically just wasn't treating click properly. So if we open up a window here, we're focused on the desktop now. If I click the title bar, oh wait, because I've applied the fix already. Let me undo the fix here. Let me just comment this piece out. Peace out. And refresh here. So yeah, we open the window, we unfocus. Now when I click, yeah, so it doesn't focus even. But if I click inside the window, it does. So the title bar was just messed up, and it had to do with React R&D's taking class handles and messing up touch events. So I've converted touch events back to click events in this case, and then simulated a focus because I know where the component window is, because I pass it all along. And what else did I do here? I took component window, and rather than just add another default, I've decided to do this sometimes, where I just take it out as a possible process, and then here I break it down. Because if you put it here, I get complaints to default everything, and I don't want to do that. So this way is just easier. Excuse the allergies again. So this worked. Let's commit this. Add touch handler for mobile drag title bar effects. Next, use screen height width instead of inner. Why did I... Oh, I think this is another mobile one. What was the issue here? I should have said the issue in the commit. The solution was, I think, this, was switching to this screen width and height. Although at the same time, didn't I undo this? No, I kept that, I guess. So before I was doing window.innerHeight, and now I'm doing window.screen height and width. Assuming I don't adjust this, I think this was a more accurate reading of the available screen. And this worked properly on mobile versus on mobile before. The inner height and width, I think, wasn't working properly. It might have been the inner width wasn't working. Well, I haven't applied it yet, so let's just try to simulate it. What could have happened? I'm trying to remember what the issue was. When would it have been trying to calculate width and height? What was this for? For the context menu here. Let me try a right click. Oh wait, I have to hold down with mobile. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's miscalculating where to position the context menu, and it's actually moving it outside the viewport. Okay, so let's apply the fix and see if that stops. Basically just switching which height and width I read from the window object. Not all heights and widths were created equal, basically. So we're going to just do git apply again on that other commit. And then we'll take a peek at the changes. It's basically just what it said. It's just literally changing all the inner width to be this based on this window.screen. I also did it for peak too, because peak would calculate the left and right based on the same kind of idea. Same for the boundaries of draggables as to whether or not something's off screen. So it's better to just be calculated that way. What was the test again? Right, now let me try to right click. There we go. So you see now how it's in the right place, but also there was that flicker. I think I fixed the flicker in the next commit. So we'll probably move to the next commit. But that was the basics of that commit, was just the height and width were miscalculated. Now the next commit, I think we're going to deal with the fact that the viewport ever could have looked like it did, where there was that white piece. That should just never even be possible. So one fix at a time. First we fixed the miscalculating that allowed us to see this other bug. And the other bug is this here, the viewport scale. That was missing from my meta tags. Viewport, this is default from Next.js, but it was missing this initial scale 1, maximum scale 1. So because the way Next.js works, they have these pages here. Where are the pages? Here they are. So here's the document. Here's the main app. And in the app, I have the metadata component that I've made. And the metadata component uses the next head piece to create your own custom head. And to that, I'm going to add the viewport right at the top. So now if we go to, I'm going to paste that message in and then switch here. So now if I go here, and now when I click down on the menu, you see it open. You see how there was like fake scroll bars for a second almost. Like it went to try to show me scroll bars. I'm not a fan of that either, actually. I wonder if I can get rid of that. But it didn't do that weird viewport thing. That being said, I wonder if we can completely disable it from even doing that. Where does that context menu live, even? Let's see here. Good question. Where does that context menu live? Here it is, I think. Yeah, and it's got... No, is this it? Oh yeah, here it is. Menu. Right, so this is the context factory. So these live outside the normal context. So back to my document here. The app. Where would it be? It would be in the menu. Did I even see the menu there? Oh man, I got so many files open here. Here, menu provider. Okay. So it's inside the styled app, but it's outside the main component. So that means... What is the component again? The component is this index piece. So it's going to be outside the desktop, which is main. So maybe I need to do this in my global styling. So in my global styling here, would it be in the body? I don't think it'd be in the body, because I have overflow hidden in the body. But then why would the scroll bars have popped up for a second? That's an intriguing one. Maybe that's a deal for another thing. You see, if I open that there, just the fact that it tried to show me like little scroll bars that disappeared. That already I don't like. Huh. It's like it tried to escape its viewport for a second. But where are those scroll bars coming from? We see here, so when I open the menu, where does it come from? It's somewhere in this div next. Okay, it's just living right there. What if in div next I say that's overflow hidden? Overflow hidden. Now when I make the menu. No, I still see scroll bars. I think it goes beyond overflow hidden for what I'm trying to do, unless it's at the HTML level. No. Let's take a peek at something here. Disable scroll bars. HTML, CSS. How to hide the scroll bars. Yeah, I want to go beyond overflow though, so hopefully they have better advice. Scroll bar width. Scroll bar style. Oh, this is interesting here. WebKit display. That's a hardcore one. I wonder if that works, because I really don't want scroll bars. I don't even want them to like... I don't want the idea of scrolling even in there. I wonder how you could just disable scrolling. Disable scrolling on viewport. Overflow X hidden. Position relative on the body. Do you think that could be it? I don't know. Getting desperate here. Let me try this. Now I can't even get a menu. What the heck? Somehow that really messed things up. Okay, what if I turn that off? Okay, yeah, so that was really bad. I don't know what that would have accomplished. Let's try this though. But honestly, this is basically what I've already done. I've already said overflow hidden on everything. So why would I have to say overflow hidden X? No, it didn't make a difference. Yeah, alright. Well, that's for another day. Let's put it in our next day notes here. Next stream. Why do scroll bars momentarily appear on mobile with context menu ? Alright, I'll follow up with that and get back to everybody next episode on that piece. As far as the one I was doing, setting the viewport scale, that definitely did fix the flicker. There was a flicker of white before, so that's better. We'll save that. Let's move on to the next commit. What is this? Don't import React types. Oh yeah, this is a mistake I made in a few places, was it? This is where the auto import's actually been biting me a few times. I think there's another one here where I did that. Import. Maybe not. Only update, use var, base, upgrade lock depths. What the heck's that mean? Oh yeah, I know how to do that. One sec. I feel like there was more. Don't update. Is it React ones? I don't see them here. Maybe it was just those. I feel like it was more. Okay, so we don't want to import React types. Let's fix this. Is it just in two places? I think we can find these. Basically, for React types, what I've decided I prefer to do is to actually just say React here, because then I know very clearly, oh, this is not a native drag event handler or anything like that. It's specifically meant to be a React one that's going to get passed to it. Just makes it easier inline to know that, because if you do that, like I don't know if there is a native drag event handler. I don't think there is, but drag event, I think there is. That's something you can get caught up with. I think I've even probably done that a few times in my code bases. In the code base here. Oh, what? That's weird. Did I not do that? This is this one. Oh, you see what I mean? Exactly this example here. This should have been a React one, but it auto-inferred the native one, and it didn't need the import, so it never did the auto-import. So I'm probably doing this in a few places. Like if I just go focus event or any of the events, let's match caps to React, React, React. Like this one here. That's probably, where is this coming from? The reset menu. Oh, there I'm just running it. Yeah, see here, if it's in here, it would have been a React event. Here as well. Part of the React components, so I don't want to get too deep into that rabbit hole. But this one could, yeah, this could be a React focus event. This could be a React mouse event. There may be some subtle differences, so I think it's for the best to try to be correct with those. Menu unfocused. See, in this case, it's not, because it's getting passed into add event listener. So that will be getting real events, not the synthetic ones. But to try to catch all of these is not trivial, so I just caught a few more there. What if we do mouse event? These are all React, it looks like. What about this one? Is the same one? Yeah, this is the one getting passed into the add event listener. And what's this one at the bottom here? Okay, so that's it for those. What other kind of events do I handle? File event, is that a thing? Drag event? Okay, here we go. These look like I did React as well. So I think I just caught the last couple, hopefully there. And then as far as React, I wanted to double check too to make sure I'm not importing any other types. These all look like legitimate React things. Because I think before that was an issue I had where I was importing things I did not need. Yeah, these don't look like types this time for the most part. I'm not seeing any. Okay, let's say we cleaned up the React imports then. I'll do save all. And yeah, I'm going to reword this to be clean up React imports. Try not to use the native events when it's actually a synthetic event occurring. So in this case, I deleted an import and put it here. In this case, it was already inferring the wrong one. And same with this case as well. Ah, touch event. Let's just make sure there were no more of those. Yeah, there was only that one. I've only just recently started dealing with the mobile stuff, so. But at the same time, it was promising. There was very few issues. There's still a few that I have to deal with that are on my notes, that are on the board. These sticky notes here, those are the to-dos, those are the dones. Okay. So that one's been committed as well. We're 6 commits in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that number matches the amount there. I think I'm going to do another... actually, yeah, I'll wait till I'm running some command before I blow my nose again. But my nose is just like a faucet, man. It's so frustrating. It's allergies for you. They'll be gone tomorrow. That's how it is. Okay, next one. Base viewport on smallest dimension. What the heck's that mean? I think this... What did this solve? Oh, this is where I switched all that screen stuff. Well... Okay. Ah, right. So sometimes inner height's correct, sometimes inner width's correct. It depends which is smaller. The smaller one is usually the correct one. I think that's how it ended up being. Like on desktop, maybe the smaller one is this. On mobile, the smaller one is the better one. So I've switched it to be functions, and I've done a math min. So the smaller one, either inner height or the screen height. And that was giving me the correct numbers in all cases. Also, I like to be able to abbreviate with the VH and the VW because that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like the 100% VH that you get with CSS, 100% of the viewport height, 100% of the viewport width. That's what I was trying to get to here. But sometimes you need to do a little JavaScript magic when you grab like window.innerHeight. Okay, well, on mobile it's still a window, isn't it? but in a way it's not, I guess. It's partly a screen, I guess. So it works a little different. I'm sure there's some very logical reasons why it works that way. But it's not like they call that out or make a better function. It works two different ways, depending on which one you read. So base viewport on smallest dimension. And I've made these functions here. It'll get the inner height and the inner width. And this can change, I suppose. So it's okay that it gets it over and over again. I import those functions in and use those here instead of the window.screenWidth. Why did I add a line here? That was a mistake. There we go. Same story here. Switch to the view width and the view height. And same here, and then I convert them to VH and VW like it was before, kind of. Kept that the same. Also renamed these, I guess. Yeah, I just declared it up here so I could use it once. And more of the same. So I replaced it everywhere, I think. Let's double check that I replaced it everywhere. Well, we'll check for window screen first. Okay, that's only in the one place. What about window inner? Oh, interesting. That's still in a few places. Maybe I forgot to replace this one? Do I replace it in a follow-up? I don't think I did. That might have been an oversight. Well, let's assume that I did not fix it, and let's fix it here. This should also be the same kind of replacement that I just did for the other ones. So it should be view height now. Right? Yeah, I think so. Set to maximize, it's going to be based on this view height. There we go. And is there a width? No, I guess not. That's weird. What if I just search inner? Let's do inner width. Okay, that's nowhere else. Inner height. Nice. And screen? Do I even have screen in there? No, I have screen all over the place, but not the one that I care about. Window.screen, I guess I should put. Okay, cool. So I think we caught them all this time. That was the other missing one, I believe. Now, all height and width viewport calculation is centralized in those two functions, which I like. Because it was a little bit all over the place, I guess, before. Let's commit another one. I think, yeah, was that one? I'm happy with that one. That was just the patch for the most part. So I'm gonna commit that, and I'm gonna have to go blow my nose 1 sec. Apologies again, sorry. But yeah, we got another change in the bag. Let's see what else we got here. Use var for handle name. What do I mean here? What do I mean here? Oh, okay, right. Right, so I just was hard coding in the word handle, but I actually have handle written somewhere else here. So I should just take it in from the R&D defaults. That's probably good advice that I gave myself by changing the code there. I'll paste it in here. And then I'm just going to copy the name like so. Oops. No, I cut it. I control X'd instead of control V'd because they're all pretty close to each other. All right, so if I press save, this will auto move itself to where it needs to be, as it did. Yeah, there we go. So I like that a little bit better because if you go here, then if I change it here, it'll change it for anywhere where I read these defaults, which is a few places. So that's always cool when you don't have the information in more than one spot. I'm always refactoring the code, always going back to any file that I think I can improve on. I'm a big fan of that. Oops, what I click? That's not what I wanted to do. Maybe it is, but only update DOS size if it changed. That's good advice. Right, I think this is where I noticed like when the DOS thing would load, if it didn't need to resize and I moved it slightly, and then when it finished loading, it would recenter itself and auto resize even though the size never changed. So what I've done is I've switched the event. This part's the same. Here it was just straight up updating. Here now I calculate them, but first, what do I do here? First I get the current container, and I get its height and its width, and then I get that number that I wanted here of what I want it to be. And if either of them does not match, then that means it's time to do an update. Either the width or the height changes, then update them both. Basically, update the value. Okay, I'm happy with that change. We're going to need to do a patch again, because I will probably make a mistake if I copy that, believe it or not. I'm going to copy even this text. I don't want to type that even. I'm a big fan of copy and paste, but not plagiarizing. Oops. Actually, am I? No, I don't think so. I'm all about being original, dude. Oh, I got a message here from Nikhil Tanware. Sorry, I missed your message 6 minutes ago. He says, "Hey, Dustin." I say, "Hey, Nikhil. Mind if I call you Nick?" It's a little easier, but if not, that's fine. Nikhil. Nikhil is catchy too, actually. Okay. So this change here is so minor, I'm not even going to test it. I already tested it before. This is just for the JS-DOS thing, just so that it won't like re-trigger that resize. If I broke it, I'll tell you next episode when you watch me fix it. So upgrade lock depths. I don't know how necessary this is, but let's do it. Because I don't care what dependencies levels I'm on, I'm going to just delete the lock file, delete yarn lock, and then run yarn install again. And it should recreate the lock file. And it'll update anything missing, and we can take a peek at what it changes. Delicious blue. So the lock file takes a tiny bit of time to update. In the interim, I'm going to copy this message, and I'm going to... Oh, right. This is a massive change. We'll get to that one in a second. Let's copy what I'm about to change here. So it remade the lock file. If we refresh here... Oh, so it was actually already completely updated. So rebuilding it, it just ended up being exactly what it was. So we won't even worry about that commit. And we'll move on. So this one here, I absolutely need to do a patch for, because this was a huge change. Look at even loading the thing. What does it say here? 242 files changed. Basically, all I did was move stuff. So let's take a peek. This is the thing I was talking about, restructuring how all the folders are. This is the beauty of GitHub when this kind of thing works. This patch. Because I absolutely was not going to replicate that on screen. Not with any confidence anyways, or patience. Because I've already done it once. Okay, so here's the changes. It's a lot. 458 changes it claims. Let's refresh here to make sure that's correct. That's not what the commit said, is it? Here it says 242. Well, maybe it knows the ones that just moved. Versus this thing counting the moved and the delete as deleted or something. Yeah, it's counting deleted and modified. Okay, so the basics, let's go. We can go through the files, the changes, but they're very simple. Basically, all I did is reorganize the structure. If we look at the structure currently, I go to X and go to the redo branch, is the branch I'm on, public. So this was the structure I had. I had a small lowercase desktop folder right in the root with the shortcuts there. The documents was right in the root. What did I have in here? Everything in documents was together, like the music and the pictures. The system icons were just in here as if they were my icons. The libs were just here called libs. This doesn't look very how you recognize it from Windows, basically. So the structure that we have now, if we look at public, you see it's much simpler. So we got program files, and it's got all our required this used to be what libs was, basically. I just moved this stuff in from libs. And we got our system folder, which is kind of like the Windows folder, but I decided not to just call it the Windows folder because it's not Windows, obviously. So Windows has like the System32 folder. They also have a system folder, but the Sys32 one, as we know, is the popular one. but I didn't feel the need to call mine System32. That's kind of a legacy name anyways. So I just got rid of the 32. It's not 32-bit in that way, and it's just called the system. And in there, I've got the icons, which are the system icons. I've got the browser fs lib. That's like that could have easily been in program files, but it's not a program. You know, these are all programs versus the browser fs lib is for the file system, and the Vanta is for the wallpaper. So those are more system level libraries, almost like DLLs. And then in the users folder here, we got a public. And then in public, I have my folders. So the desktop is where the shortcuts are, just like in Windows. You got your documents folder, which has all these. I'll go through those in a second. Music folder with I renamed the music file from demo.mp3 to its ID3 tag information. I moved the pictures into its own folder for the blog. And then we got our start menu links. So then in documents, I now have the blog post. I got my disk images, it's called, instead of whatever the hell it was called before. DOS bundles, which is the JS DOS files. Got the flash files. Got the stream notes, all my notes in there, and my Winamp skins. So completely redid the structure there. And then all I did here in the files was just where it was necessary to point it at the right files. So nothing secret here for the libs, just updated that, updated all the lib paths. I slightly tweaked the skin one here to be a little more generic, so I could just have it in one place because the name was a bit long. Other than that, though, yeah, as you can see here, it's just purely changing paths. Looks to be all I did. Paths, yeah. Paths. I also updated these files here. I'm going to update these again, though, because the modified dates change all the time. So what was that? Yarn build fs. And then all this is just discussing the movements. So the D's are deleting in that it was deleted in one place and then put in another place. That they count that as there's no move one. So deleted here and then updated here is where it's been moved to. And then the M's are the modified files. Were there any other M's? So yeah, the D's in the U's are just movements. Here's 2 more M's. Right, I updated more paths here. Yeah, the temp folder now is users public temp. The saves folder is users public snapshots. So for the DOS and the other one when they save stuff. And this was to fix the space issue. Load script needed to have encode URI. That was missing. So that was a mistake on my part. And that was the reason I was having issues with this change, actually. So fixing that was the big thing. And then it was just updating all the paths and deciding how I wanted the folders to be named. So let's commit it. That's a big one. And while that's finishing, let's see what's next. So that's pretty much all I did that day. That took a lot of time, actually. Just the tweaking of all the files, you know, the pruning. Fix not focusing to next on minimize. Yeah, this is another lazy day where I just did one bug. I had a lazy week, honestly, for that. I don't know why, honestly. I was just tired. Been tired all week. So in use focusable here, let's take a look at the bug. Switch out of mobile mode here, refresh this. Clear our cache. So if we open a window and then we open another one, so you see if I close it here, it jumps to that. It jumps to focus to the next one. But if I minimize it, it's keeping its focus here on the one that's minimized. Obviously, that's incorrect. We determined that was a lie. Here we go. So here's the change here. I'm just going to paste it in. Basically, all that I added, I think, was one little piece. Let's just wait for the change to show up. Right, so process, and it's not closing, and it's not minimized. So it was trying to steal back focus here because minimized was changing or something. No, the process changed. It still wasn't closing, but it was now minimized. So I had to check minimized state before I refocused it. This is going to be fine-tuning for a long time. I was thinking about this the other day where I run into these bugs, and it's like, well, if I had tests, I probably would have caught that one earlier. But I'm kind of just like fixing them one at a time, you know, like I use the thing all the time. But it's an argument for tests is what I'm getting at, is that, you know, if I had tests, one day I will have tests, but I'm hoping like I iron out so many of the bugs that the tests just go so smoothly because it's like I've already got it kind of figured out. Or I might even, I'm thinking of some kind of testing program, an unconventional way to test, where it's almost completely unit test free, but I try to build some kind of automated integration bot that can just go through my OS in such a way where it's like everything I want it to do is testing. But it's not the same as unit testing, and I guess the results, yeah, it's tight. It's tight. I'm just being lazy, honestly. I just, yeah, I don't feel like I have time to do a ton of testing right now. I'm actually excited in the future, like let's say years from now after this project, to be able to come back to it and be like, now I could write a bunch of tests for fun because there's so many things it can do that like there's so many aspects to testing it that could happen. It really does a million different things, honestly. The more that I've been working on it, the more it's coming together. Eventually, I'm hoping to be able to write my blog post in it, to be able to maybe even work in it or like do dev work in it. Because it's almost like I can make my own IDE. I can make my own the way that I copy the files and what kind of shortcuts exist. I've got a lot of ideas for it, but you know, it's just one step at a time, one brick at a time. All these little things, all these little bug fixes. What next? Fix closing photos. So it looks like closing photos was broken. There's actually two, I think, where I fixed like something like this. Here, sort order. Yeah, okay. Oh wait, I hadn't fixed that yet. I haven't even made that yet. Spoiler alert. All right, let's just fix this one. These are so simple, but it's just the way that I destruct the objects. Sometimes it's a little risque, so to speak, in that if you don't make sure to do your defaults, you're going to have a bad time. Yeah, this was the one. So my drag zoom sucks anyways right now. I'm going to, oh, sorry. I didn't switch back to the code. So it was just this little default here in the drag zoom hook for my photo app. But at the same time, I'm really not happy with parts of that photo app. So this is a minor fix. I'm going to actually be switching to a totally different library for panning and zooming instead of this custom solution I made that's not ideal. I looked at the library though, and it's pretty close to what I was doing. It's just that there's a lot more work to get every edge case. And that's where it's like, okay, I'm willing to look at a library for this. So that was fixing the closing of the photo app. What else here? Store stats for files and add tooltips for size. Okay, yeah. So here's one of the big ones. So we'll just do a patch for this right away so we can go over it in the diffs in the NVS code. So this commit was called 5.4, etc. And the name of what I'm doing in this commit is that. Okay, so let's look through these files. So the idea here, first, of what I'm doing is before, when you would go to like a file directory, when you'd open up the directory here, it would just be an array of 3 strings, you know, linux.url, mypc.url, webamp.url, and the 3 file names. Basically, all I've done is I've switched it to be an object where those names are the keys, and the values of those keys are their stats. And the stats is a Node.js thing that you get inherited from the. I'm using BrowserFS for the file system, and it emulates NodeFS's FS commands, and they have these objects called stat objects, and that's what I essentially want to store is these stat objects. Here it is here, FS stats. Yeah, it's this basic thing here. I need a few pieces from it. The size of the file. There's also a function called isDirectory that I want to be able to run on a bunch of parts of it. The modified time of the file. Those are the main things, honestly. That'll allow me to do quite a bit. So let's look at the first part of this change here. I might actually end up applying a few patches here because I do a few pieces to this. Let's see how far I got in this commit here. So what file is this? This is the file entry piece itself. That's getting ahead of ourselves. Let's try to find where the stats part is made. I think that's here. Yeah. So here before, this was an array, like I said, an array of strings. And now it's this concept called files, which is just an object with the string key and the stats. And the stats is coming directly from FS for the type. I'm just inheriting it because it's the same one that BrowserFS uses. So I had to make this helper function to work with my FS to basically take a list of these file names that I was getting before and to run the FS stat command on each one of them. And each time it returns a callback, and then I turn that into a promise here where if there's an error, I reject the promise. Otherwise, I resolve it with here's the new structure. So the name and then the stat for it. And I do some little magic here where if you have it here in this form, if you have an array that has arrays where each one where it's like string and then another piece of information, you can do the object.from entries to convert that into an object. So I do it here even in the promise. So I make a promise for each one of these. So I loop through all the file names and create all the promises, and then I pass those all to promise all. So it does all the promises, and then I take the data that comes back from that, which is an array of these objects here, and then I run the from entries command on that. And that's what I return in get files. And then as far as what I had to change some of the commands that would set files. Instead of just doing string manipulation, now I base it on the key. So in this case, it's a rename. So I destruct out the old one, and I build the object again and move it to the new name. In this case, it's a delete. So I destruct out the name here, and then I just use the remaining piece to get rid of it. And here with a new one, I actually rerun the stat command because it's possibly new or copied or something. So I need to get the newest stats and put those in there in the database. And this one here is the main update. And what I changed here, this gets changed a few times, but the basics of it before was that it would take the string list, sort it, and then filter it out the system files that I don't want to show. And now it's doing the filtering first, and then for the sorting, we had to run the await command because we had to wait for this promise to get all the files with all their stats. And then I had to change the sort contents command slightly, but I only changed it slightly for this commit. And then I set files just like it was doing before. So I didn't change it too much. I basically changed it from an array of strings to an object where the keys are sent. If you do like object.keys on that object, the array you get back is the same array we had before. So it's just a way of me being able to pass the stats along and not re-request them a few times. And I'm using the stats in a few places here. So here's one place I've already started using it. I think I might change this function too, honestly. But this is a way that I decided to do calculating for displaying the size. This was based very similar to how the tooltip shows in Windows, with this number format of maximum significant digits 3, minimum significant digits 3. That's a cool way where you get the 3 digits, and if it's like 1.44, or it could be 144, but it'll never be. It's always those 3 digits when it can be. So if it's a single thing, it'll be, instead of just being 1, it would show 1.44 or something. There's probably other ways to do it, but I found this to be a pretty reasonable way. So this is for converting the tooltips. I might have to take a screenshot of the tooltip to show everybody, because I don't think tooltips show up. I could probably console log in anyways. So we just went through that. Now we've gone through the function here. As far as all that this does, it takes the size, and if it's 1 byte, it just shows 1 byte, no plural. If it's less than a kilobyte, it'll show that amount of bytes. And this is how it works in Windows too. If it's less than a megabyte, it would do the formatting and show as a kilobyte. Same for megabyte, same for gigabyte. So this handles all the way up to terabyte files, but we can't actually have terabyte files on the way that it works right now anyways, so that's fine. You could have a gigabyte file though. And then the default is to return bytes. So if we did have a terabyte file, it would just be like a trillion bytes or something like that, or a billion, million, trillion, something like that. Here I had to switch files in a few places where it was used. Where is it coming back from? Here. So now it's a little different. Now it's an object instead of an array. So here, instead of just doing files.length, I do object keys files.length. Same in all 3 cases. And then when it comes to the file entry, I pass the stats in so that the file entry knows stats about it now. And then we'll go to the file entry before we go to that last file. So here's where I pass those stats in. And here's where I use the title, where I make that title.
And I'll show you the title. As it is right now, it's just size, it looks like. I add to this in the next couple commits. But right now it's just size, and we'll do a console log so we can see it too. Oops. There we go. Nope. There we go. So that's just for testing purposes. And then the function here, this is just where I had to switch the sort function slightly. So before it was just getting AA as strings. Now it gets this string stats object. And it deconstructs the first piece of it, which is the string. So that part of the function could remain exactly the same. That's basically all it changed. And then here I didn't have to use extension name anymore. Now I can use stat.isDirectory and properly read it. And here, instead of returning the way I did before, I do the from entries one. Because now these folders and files are based on the entry, which is more like this now. But very little had to change here, for the most part. And this extension name thing, in general, I'm going to make a note, actually. Don't use extension name anymore to deduce if directory. Exclamation mark. Okay, I need to, for next stream, I need to follow up and make sure I'm not using this anymore for that use case, because now that we have the stats, in all cases, I should be running the isDirectory command. So let's take a peek at what the sizes look like now. So if we refresh here and we go to console, so you see there it made it for these shortcuts already. So that's what that looks like, and that's correct. If I open up some other files here, you can see how it's formatting. So 4.3.69 kilobytes, 4.00. This is how it looks in Windows. This is how I want it to look. So we'll delete that console log. I think I'm happy with this as is. Like I said, there's a few commits coming up where I tweak this, but I like that we'll just go through it together. So this was my initial attempt to get the tooltip working. And now when you hover over most of the items, unless it's a shortcut or a directory, it'll show you the size. And we're going to flesh that out a bit in the next couple commits here. So where was that? That was here. So yeah, this is the last day. This is actually all just today. Did I just do a lot of stuff today? Yeah, I guess I did. So I played around with sorting a lot today in the morning. Just in like 2 hours. And let's go through the changes. So the first one here, I added date modified. That was one I'm pretty proud of, actually. So we had the date modified data now. Let me just patch this one so we can just look right at it. Copy the message here. Find the hash of the commit. Open up the terminal. Close the old one. Press up to get the old history. 2 and then tab completion. Enter. And then I'm going to paste that add modified. So only 2 files had to change. That's nice. So in formats, I've decided to keep using the formats thing, and I've added another format called date modified. This currently just handles the time. For the actual date, I decided to use a different method because the date that gets generated here uses a formatting type that is not year, month, day, which is what I wanted. And it's not trivial to flip that. I mean, you could split it into parts and then you can change it, but the other way I did, I feel, is easy enough. And we'll see what that way is here. So the create tooltip function, if it's a shortcut, so it gets the is shortcut piece, and then here it checks, is it a shortcut, or if it's directory, then just return nothing. No tooltip. Otherwise, here's where it gets the information to calculate some stuff. So it gets the access time, the create time, and the modified time, and also the size from the stats. Now, one thing I noticed with Browser FS is that the access time, create time, and modified time will be exactly the same if it's one of the read-only, if it's one of the files that's not from the indexed DB database. So when you first boot up the page, the file system comes from a pre-existing file system, and then any changes you do get written to the indexed DB database. So until you actually changed any of the files, there's no point in me showing you this because the access date, create date, and modified date initially are all exactly the same, and they're all when you started the app. So I don't even want to show it. There's no point. I'm only going to show the ones where it's like useful data. So I'm labeling this as unknown time. And I say, is the access time the same as create time? And the create time is the same as modified time? Then all 3 times are the same. So it's considered unknown. And in that case, I just return the size, which I formatted here. Now, if it's not an unknown time, if all these times don't match, then we go to the next step. So the date I get from doing a toISO string, because when you do the toISO string command, you get like a 2021-09-18, and versus the international date format timing, where it would be like 9/18 slash 2021, whatever the hell year it is. So this is the way that I prefer to do it. Why is it complaining about this? That's weird. So I had to import the theme to get that formatting style, because you could always change it in your theme if you wanted to, I guess, for the time. The date, no, though. So here's where I build it anyways. Date, time. So then this is what you get at the end. So we'll console log this to see what it looks like, because as I said, the tooltips don't show up in my streams unless I share my whole screen, which I do not do. So let's try this now. So wait a minute. Didn't I just do that? What happened? Interesting. I'm surprised to have not seen any in the console. Oh, okay, because these are shortcuts, so they have no tooltips. But here we go. Yeah. So here's I open a few files. So that's nice. So now it says size 183. So it's referring to one of these files. Which one is it? This one here. Why not this one? Okay, this one just has size here. So one of them just has size, and my console log is in the wrong position to just show that one. So it's only showing the JSON file. But as you can see there, it's properly doing it. This is the date time format that I wanted. That matches the Windows one. Cool. So that's also done. Now we have date modified, which is a nice little piece to the tooltip. Let's commit that. I'm happy with that. That was a simple enough 2 changes. And let's see what the next piece is. So don't update folder on make directory recurse. Oh, this is a different issue I noticed. I think. What is this one? Let's just patch it and then I'll try to understand what it is I changed. Because I have a loose memory of doing something related to this. But the reasoning behind it, that's what's relevant. That's what these videos are about. It's to try to justify my actions to the public before I commit these things. And I give you guys an opportunity to say, stop. It's silly what you're doing. But you know what? No one said it yet. So in the, what is this? This is the make directory recurse function. Right. So this makes sense to me because this make directory recurse function was just my attempt to fix the fs.makeDirectory's inability to do recursiveness. Because there actually is a package you can get, but I wanted to do my own custom version. This isn't super complex anyways. So, but what I was doing is after it got made, I was running the update folder command. But that shouldn't be done because fs make directory doesn't typically do that. So I want that to be handled on a per run basis. Because it was already being done anywhere where I was running this anyways. Like if we look where I was using this, maybe here I changed it. No. So if we see here, okay, yeah, here I added it. So here I want, when we do make directory recurse, that's when I want to update after it's all done, not on every single step. Although, do I? Huh, that's a good question. I guess in some ways I do, but not the last step, because the last step is for this. It's debatable. I think this would update its children anyways. Let's just leave this fix as is, because otherwise it was causing an issue. In general, I think it's ideal that make directory recursive doesn't do update folder. That should be handled by whoever's doing it. So yeah, in this case, it was running update folder. In this case, it was running update folder. And that's the function itself. And then this one I just changed so that it also does. So every time make directories run, it also updates the folder now. All right. Don't update folder on make directory recurse. Correct. that should be done on a per request basis. So this isn't related to that wasn't related to the tooltip thing. Oops. Next up, I added to the a type tooltip. So this is another cool one, kind of. And actually a cool thing about these tooltips and learning all this information about each file is that I'm going to be able to use this in the future when I make the column/detail view for the folder structure. Because that's the kind of stuff that shows on detail view, typically. Is the item type, the size, the date modified. And now I have all that information ready to display. So the next one here is the type. Now, what is a type? If we look here, so wait, what's happening here? Why is it complaining? Huh, that's weird. It's having trouble finding this? This is here. Get formatted size. Really? Where's get formatted size? Oh, did it get moved? Then I didn't fix my import here? I wonder if that's the case. I don't remember where I moved this, if I moved it. Okay, it's in the util functions. Maybe I wanted to move it and I forgot to? Okay, I don't know why that wasn't moved or why it's like I somehow forgot to commit that change. I'm not sure. Okay, whatever. This is the new change. So let's look at what changed here. So, extension type. Let's just look at the bottom here. I added extension to the create tooltip because I need to know the extension. Before I already was getting it here from the shortcut piece, but I need to use it again here. So if it's, again, if it's shortcut or directory return, now I calculate type. And type is based on, I look at the known extensions and then the extension itself. If it has a type, I return that as the type. Otherwise, I just take the extension, I uppercase it, I get rid of the dot, and I say like, so let's say it's a zip file and I don't have a type for zip, it would just say ZIP file. But if it finds it in extensions, maybe it'll be called compressed file. And we'll get to what they look like in a second here. The size command, why did I move this? Oh, I renamed it to be size instead of formatted size because it just was a bit simpler. I moved it around a bit for no good reason. Before it was here. Let's just leave it where it was before. There we go. Right, so I took size here and called it size in bytes, and then I take size in bytes into get formatted size, and now it's called size. So the tooltip will always be these. If it's not this, it'll always have type and size. But if it's an unknown time, maybe I should say unknown date. No, I'll call it time because these all say time. So then so it'll have type, size, and then if it is a known time, it'll do what it was doing before and add the date modified piece. So you can get 3 pieces in all. And I'll show some examples of that by console logging a final time here. Maybe, yeah, I'll just console log. Let's look at the extensions quick. So here's just some types I made. So for image, I called it disk image file. Same with ISO. For SPL, it's a future splash file. SWF, shockwave flash file. This is my made-up WYSIWYG HTML file format. This is a Winamp skin file. This is a compressed bracket zipped file folder. Sorry. A lot of these wordings were similar to Windows, so. Otherwise, let's check it out. So now when we refresh, let's get to a folder that's got some nice stuff in it. This one here, disk images. Okay, how come I don't see anything? What happened here? Where'd my console log go? Huh. Did I miss something here? Let me refresh. Is it on? I see the tooltip. Oh, okay, right. This is what I was telling you about the date. So it's not, because it's not showing date modified, because these files are all from the read-only file system. It's not getting to this step. It's only getting to this step right now. I'll show an example of that as well, where we just print the tooltip. Here we go. So those look like that. Type, disk image, size 1.4 megabytes, 7.37 megabytes. But if we were to copy it to the desktop, and now refresh this, so you see now the file is a real file in IndexedDB because it's been copied or moved or whatever. So now it has some real information, including the date modified, which was this minute or a minute ago. Great. So now we have those nice tooltips as well that are just like the Windows ones. And they give it useful information about the files, which is always nice. And like I said, these three pieces, the size, the type, and the date modified are things we will use when we switch File Explorer to be the detail view, where it's column sorted. Now we have this information, so that makes that task easier, which is on the board here to do at some point. It's an important part of the project is to have the detail view, because that's how I have it on my personal computer that I look at every day. That's the main part of doing this. I'm not even trying to recreate Windows. I'm trying to recreate how I see my computer every day. And I just happen to use Windows 10. But it's like, it's my dark mode. It's the way that I do the icons. It's the settings I want when I finish this, which is not done yet. But I want it to be functional. You know, I want you to be able to switch. You can change it yourself. You can save it. You can drag your own things in. You can change the wallpaper. You can use it to play games, whatever you want to do with it. So another one I'm proud of, another feature I added was sorting, and that's these 4 commits here. So let's look at these now that we're done with the tooltip, I think. Store sort orders. So the first thing I wanted to do was the ability to store the sort orders, because currently we can't. So as an example, currently, let me just get all this stuff out of the way. So here's a file right here's a good example. We'll take a file here and I'll drag it and I paste it here. So you see right now it's positioned there. But if I were to refresh, now it got moved up a bit because it never remembered that it was in that position. And when it reloads the page, it just gets whatever position the directory gave it, which is this position. It's alphabetical, I think. But we don't want alphabetical. We want the position we had last time. That's where this comes in. Another important feature along the way. Let's patch it up and let's look at the changes. So what's one of the first changes here? What's this change? So I changed the sort content command a bit. I added this piece. So it already was the sorting command. And now we pass in an existing known sort order, possibly. So if there is a sort order, if it has a length, then we're going to use it to do our sorting. And the way we do it is we get the keys of the current order, and we call that the content order. And then we split it like this. We do the sort order, the order that I was given. I include all the ones that we already had in content order, the ones we actually have files for. This is a way to make sure that I keep them consistent, because it's possible you could have something missing or in content, or something new or something missing that isn't in the sort order. So that's what this logic is here for. Is first we get the things with the sort order has a positional order we know about. So first we keep all of those, but then in the content order, if from the contents there's items that we didn't know about in sort order, then those we keep. So it's like we have the known sort order plus the stuff we didn't know about. We'll go to here. And then we just map it to that entries format so that I can run from entries on it, which is my new favorite command, object.fromEntries. Object.entries and from entries. So where does that leave us? Yeah, that's that one function. Then use folder here, I changed a bit. Let's go to the session piece. So in session, I've added sort orders. What's it complaining about here? It's wrong, whatever it's saying there. Yeah, it's being weird with that message. What's this message relevant to? Let me close this and open it again. Like what? Well, sort order is right here. So is it complaining about the type? It's not an any. Unsafe array destructing of a tuple element with an any. It's being silly. Let's close VS Code. I think VS Code is mad because I deleted the lock file and it had to reinstall everything. Switch back to the browser and then I'll open up a new code session here. I'm gonna have to reopen the terminal. Okay, well that's booting back up. Hopefully this will work now. Yeah, now it knows what this is. So that error went away. That was just it being silly. I don't think it knew something about use state, or who knows what it thought it knew. Let's get back to it. This is just a simple empty object, just like how the Windows states. This is just another one called the sort order states that keeps track of the sort order. I made a type for it, which is just the path and the order for it. And then use folder is where the remaining magic occurs here. So I do the use session hook that gets us the sort order, the current sort order. It allows us to set the sort order, and it checks when the session's loaded. So it's not going to try to show us an initial directory until it knows if we have a sort order already. That's where I decided to use session loaded here. So if we go down here to where I'm using it, before I was just running, whenever the update files command would change, I would just run it. I've filtered that out. So now I say, first off, the session needs to be loaded. Second off, if there's no files yet, then you run update files. And we're going to pass in a sort order if we happen to know it. And these are the old and the new are undefined. Basically the same as how before we passed nothing, now we're passing sort order as the third argument. Now, if the session is already loaded and there are files, that's when we decide if we want to change the sort order, because here we're monitoring the sort order. So the sort order probably changed, possibly. So we check it here. So we take the files and we split it up into the names, and then we make sure that the sort order indexes match. So if the sort order we have matches the current file structure, then we won't run this command. But if it doesn't, we will. And this will update the sort order. So basically every time the files change, it's going to check and make sure it matches the sort order. And if it doesn't, it's going to update it here so that it gets stored in the session. And what else we got up here? And then I had to, because now, wait, why did I have to default this? Yes. This was, I could no longer have files be empty. Ooh. Actually, I don't need to do that. I could remain this as empty so that it's protected in that way. And the trick to it, the reasoning, why I did that was because of this here, to be able to say if there's no files. But what I could do is I could say object.keys. No. That was what I didn't want to do this. No, exactly. So I need it to be empty. I need to know at the point where it's first set. If it just has no length, it's going to keep looping. If you get an empty folder, well, an empty folder doesn't have any files in it, but I want you to stop checking, So that's why at first now it needs to be empty. And then we had to add some defaults here to make sure that when it's doing this destructing, it has a real object to work with. Now we can take in the initial order. This is just making sure that it's safe. Here's the one difference. So before, when I would try to read the directory, I would only do something if there was no error. Now, if there is an error, I'd set it as empty. So now we know, okay, there is files now, but it's empty. Or there was an error. Now, if there is no error, this changed slightly. Also, I noticed this was wrong. I'd called this filters files. I wanted it to be called the filters file, the filtered files. So I changed that. And I stopped doing the sorting here. Now I get the files here from that promise where I get all the stats built up. And then I do the sorting as I'm setting the files. So when I'm sorting them, I say, here's the new files, which that part was like before. But as you remember here, now I pass in the order. So I get that initial order, which comes from when it's passed in here the first time. And then if for every other time it's called, if it's not passed in, then it bases the order on the current order. So it takes the current files and gets those keys and says, that's the current order. And is that necessary? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I guess it is, because when would this run? This could run on like a refresh. Basically on a refresh, I wouldn't want it to try to get a new order. And I want it to just keep the order it has and not use the order it got from read directory. So yeah, this will allow us to maintain the order during refreshes. And I think that's about it, honestly. Let's take a look at the code now. There, fixed. No, I'm just kidding. Let me try refresh. Oh, something broke. What did I break? Oh, I think this is exactly what I fixed in another commit, but I'm surprised that it could ever have slipped in if it was just that bad. Okay. So yeah, my next commit was fixing this, but let's just fix it right now. Here it is. So we just have to destruct that out and be safe with it. Maybe it's something I changed that made that more breakable, but there we go. So let's delete this again and try that same test. So now when we open it here, we drag, and now session's in the right spot, but when I refresh, it should stay there. Refresh. There we go, and it stayed in that position. Now, if I had the ability to reorganize things, we could do more testing, but I actually don't have that ability yet. That comes in this next commit here when I add the sorting in. So now I have a way to retain the sort order. Let's go back and make sure I've got those here. So store sort orders. Oh yeah, that broke it. And then I fix it here. That was these two. Don't need stat calls anymore. Right. This is just another update. I could probably do this right now. Let's see if I can apply it. Well, do I want to apply this patch? No, let's not. This will be the next step. So let's just commit what we have. This was nothing. I'm not going to even discuss that commit. That fix has been applied. So we'll commit this as store sort orders. So now we have a way to store the order of the folder icons. And the last commit that I want to do, 2 more commits. So if you remember in this step here where I stored the stats, I actually wanted to get rid of a few places where I'm still running stat commands. So I was doing a stat command here that I don't need. I'm doing one here that I don't need, and here. And the reason I was doing those before was to know if it was a directory or not. But because I'm now storing stats, I can just look at it and not have to call it again. So that's going to be this patch here. And we're going to apply this one as well. Open up the terminal. Open up the right terminal. Oh, not, oh right, I don't have that get apply command anymore. I'll just type it again. There we go. And let's see which ones I found that were missing from before. Right, so here was one of them that I mentioned. Before it was get info without extension. And before I was running an fs command, stat, and I was passing an fs just so that I could know if it was a directory. But now I can just, when I call this command, I can just pass in the is directory boolean, because on the previous call, I had the stats. So that makes this command much more simple. Otherwise, it just is the same, but it doesn't need a callback anymore, or the fs. It can just directly return the data because there's no need to wait for anything. And that was, no, that's not this. This was another piece though. The use file info hook now knows about the directory. And if we go here, that's where it's using it there. Yeah, for exactly this purpose, to get info without extension. Now it's passing that. And now instead of passing the setter dispatch function, I'm just encompassing it in the function. But that was a minor change. And yeah, those 3 changes alone were very minor, actually, just to change one thing. What was the other one? Here's the 2 other ones. So for delete, I was checking fs to know if it's a removed directory or an unlink the delete file. Now I already know that because it's part of the files data. So I just say, first I check if the file system thing works, because otherwise it complains in these 2 cases. And then I say, I check the files for the is directory data. And if I don't get it here, well, it really should be there, honestly. Like, I do this to be safe, but do I need to? Yeah, I need to. But I really shouldn't in a lot of ways. This will almost never fail, I would think. And if it does, then whatever, I don't care. So that's for delete. And then for get file, I also was doing the same thing. I would check to see directory. And if it's a directory, I wouldn't do anything. I would just resolve to go to the next piece, to the next part of the file, I think. What the hell does get file command do? Yeah. So for a directory, I don't want the directories. I just wanted the files, right? Anyways, that's now I know this information already. The same syntax, so I don't need to do fs stat again. Cool. Don't call Don't need stat calls anymore. And the last one is going to be actual sorting. Sort by files. So this change is somewhat big, not too big. I'm going to apply the patch here like I've done to the others, and then we're going to walk through it. Yeah, I just did this one tonight, or earlier tonight, I guess. Or when did I do this? Like 1 p.m., I suppose, when my kid was sleeping. Kids. One was on the tablet, one was sleeping. So sort by files. So this is the place that I was already doing sorting before, if you remember the sort function. I didn't change too much in it. But now, not only does it pass sort order, it also can pass a sort function. And the sort function can be any of these. It could be name, size, type, or date. And before here, it was always doing the sort case insensitive, which was basically the same as sort by name. So now what I'm doing, I check to see if it needs to be pre-sorted. And what pre-sorted means to me is like if you want to sort them by type or by size or by date modified even, you want it to be sorted in that way, but also alphabetically, you know? So if two things were made at exactly the same time, then sort those alphabetically. So the way that I've done that is with this pre-sort concept, where if it needs to be sorted alphabetically plus another way, then I do sorting alphabetically first. So I say, is there a sort function, and is the sort function not by name? Because if it's by name, then don't worry about that. And then I say, if it's a pre-sort, we do the sort by name, then we do another sorting of the sort function. Otherwise, we just do the sort by name. And I do this for the folders and the files. So that's the basics there. Not a huge change, honestly. I've also made a type called file stats instead of this thing that it was before, but it's the same thing. So here's the sort files function that I've made. That basically says if the sort by string is in the sort function map, then I want you to sort the contents of the files. No pre-sort order. And here's the function, sort function to use. Otherwise, just return the files because I don't know how you want to sort it. And then here's the sort functions. So the sort by name is the same as the sort case insensitive. That didn't change, as far as I can tell. Yeah, that's the same thing here. But I did these three. These were easy enough, though, honestly. The sort by size. We already had the stat, so we don't need the name here. We just get the size piece of information from the stat, and we just compare them here to whichever is the bigger one. This is all that it was required. GitHub Copilot helped me here. I just typed like sort by size, and it did something kind of like this, and I refactored it a little bit, but that was the basics of it. Not that it was complicated or anything. This one's the same as sort by name, except I do the extension name piece to get the extension. Yeah. This works okay because it does directories and files separately, so they don't get mixed up. So it's the same as name, except it uses the extension name of A and B. And then for date, I just take the modified time in milliseconds, and I do the same comparison like I did for size. So that's all that was required for at least the logic of how to sort and how to update that sort content function. Here in use folder, I think is where it gets used. No. Ah, yes, the hook. Well, I don't want to jump ahead. Let's look at the hook before we look at that. So here's this hook called use sort by. It updates the files. It keeps track of the sort order. Let's try to do the flow here, actually. So let's start at the right-click menu. So here's the right-click menu I made. So you right-click somewhere on a folder, you say sort by, and then you pick name. And it's going to run the set sort by command from the folder actions. So this is basically just a dispatch command. So set the sort by name, set sort by size, by type, by date, you know, simple enough. So then the folder actions here, set sort by is actually coming from a hook that does use sort by, and it passes the set files command to update the files here. with the new order. I also updated a type there, but that's minor. So yeah, the thing it exports is clearly it's just a React dispatch of the sort by string. And this is just a string of those possible types. Also, it can be empty. I don't recall why that's needed, but there's some reasoning behind that. Now let's look at this hook here and try to understand that reasoning. I think this might change long term because I want to be able to have reversals. But yeah, the hook is pretty simple. So it stores the sort state. When you trigger a change, it monitors the change. If sort by is set, then it updates the files and then it clears it out. I don't get why the clearing out piece needs to happen. Ah, I do recall now. So if you click sort by name and then you click sort by name again, it wouldn't do anything the second time. That was where I wanted it to do the reverse. I almost feel like we should just fix that right now. Because if we do that, then I don't have to worry about it. So it can still start blank. So the first one, it's not going to change the files. But what if we don't reset it? So if you run set again and its name, how would it know it changed? I had a really good idea how to solve this the other day, but I've kind of forgot what the idea was. It's not actually a complicated idea or a complicated problem, but I just don't quite remember how I wanted to toggle it. Because when you set the same name, checking it here wouldn't make a difference. I think the trick is that I have to just change this command. Yeah. So what if we just say, I'll call it set by sort by. I won't change its name. And it's gonna still get a sort by. Sort. I don't know what to call it. There's too many sort bys here. But the trick to this is, I got an Autobot here. Hello, Dustin. Hey, Autobot. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, I'm trying to customize this here. So now if they run set sort by, we'll call this dispatch. Set sort by dispatch. First, I'll just make it a straight up pass through here. We'll call this the sort by value. That was called the value. So that won't do anything. But the thing I wanted to check here, so it sets it here, it doesn't close it. So if it calls it again, now I can compare properly. So if the value equals sort by, then now you want to flip it. I'm thinking in that case what I'll do is I'll set the sort by. Maybe I'll have another thing to keep track of reversal. I could do that, I suppose. And then it would change here. Let's try that. Actually, you know what I'll do? We'll clear this. We won't do that. It can start undefined, let's say. Or undefined for the state here. Yeah, that part looks okay. Wait, here it returns. What? Oh, because it's saying this could be undefined. Okay, sure. Initially it could be, I suppose. Oh, wait, did that actually not do anything of any use? Okay. Let's just one problem at a time here. What I wanted to do was to have it check this. Here's part of the issue. Right, there we go. So if it's the same, I want the value to be... Here's what we'll do. Just put it right in here and say if it is the same, then I want you to do an exclamation mark in the value. Otherwise the value. I'm not a huge fan of that, honestly. Wait a minute. This is stupid, actually. I don't need to do it this way, I don't think. I could do this at this level, I suppose, because this is a dispatch command, so I actually get the initial sort by. But do I want to do this every single time to be like, if sort by equals this, then invert it? No, I don't want to do that every time. So having it here, a custom dispatch command is not unreasonable. Why is it complaining about this? Ah, because this piece is no longer valid because what I could do, no, will that work? I'll call this the sort by types. And then what we'll do here is we'll say that a sort by can be a sort by type or a sort by type that has an exclamation mark in front of it. Did that actually work? Partially, no. Now it's like they're all... Okay, no, that part's okay, actually. So what's it complaining about now? Oh, now it's doing, like, double them? What? Argument of type sort by or 2 exclamation marks? What have I done here? So that didn't work the way I expected it to. Alright, let's not mess around with this. So, like I said, though, I need to figure out the reversal thing still. I'm going to make that a note for the follow-up task. How much undoing do I have to do here? There we go. That's back to before. So let's make a note in the show notes here that on second sort, reverse order. There we go. So I know how to do it, but I can't think of the elegant way to basically what I want to do, I want to get rid of the need for this blank thing. And I want it that when setting occurs, somehow here it can know whether or not it flips. But I'll think of the nice way and then I'll show you guys in the future. I think we've gone through the code now. Let's actually see it in action, right? So now I go sort and I can say by size, I can say by item type, I can say by date modified or name. It's like date modified happen to be the same as the other one. But as you can see, they all pretty much are different. And a good example is the stream notes. Where are they? Streams here. So these are all unique files. And yeah, you don't see my tooltips. That's unfortunate. But if we go right click and I say by name, well, it already was by name. Let's try another one. Size. So you can see this one it says is 798 bytes. This one it's 3.46 kilobytes. So it did indeed sort by name or by size. Sorry. We can also do by type. And it goes back to alphabetical because they all happen to be the same type in this case. Date modified. It actually is the same too because these are all ordered by date. These files were all made one after the other, so it's actually a bad test for showing all the differences, but it works anyways. So now we have sorting that looks pretty much just like Windows. If you see here, if that looks familiar, I'm not in Windows here. This is something I just made right here. So that feature, and it keeps it. So if I refresh, there we go. Session's still at the top. That's not how it used to work. So cool. So now we have sorting. That was a feature I wanted for a while. That put a few of these yellows on the wall there. Sort by 4 files, let's say. Sort by for files. Cool. We'll update the show notes with that feature. Now if we go back to the browser here, I think we just did everything. I don't know. I guess that was a short day. I mean, I've only done 1 hour and 40 in this video. Typically my videos are a bit longer, but darned if I didn't go through everything there. It feels like I actually went through some good features, but I guess there was nothing flashy, unfortunately. Switching the file directory structure, I'm just pretty happy about. If I go to, where are my photos now? Users, public, pictures, 2016, this. There we go. So yeah, if we see here, there's an image here. So my zoom works pretty decent, but the panning part, oh, it's actually working. Yeah, it's not working right. This should be locked to like right here. So it's not ideal yet, but it's coming along. Here's another bug. You see the title bar. If I zoom in, it should have changed to 110, but if I zoom in again, now it did do 121. If I zoom back, 108. And if I zoom out here, it shouldn't do 100% either. It's supposed to reset at 100%. There's like 6 or 7 little issues with the photo app, but at the same time, parts of it aren't so bad. At least this file size thing kind of works. The resizing. The full screen button works. The zoom and zoom out buttons work, even though they don't update the title the way I want. And there's still some more features to add. I'm thinking of doing some other cool customizations. Like I noticed the photo app, for some reason, for the photo app alone, the title bar doesn't have the icon, and the title bar is like blurry, kind of like how the taskbar is. Seemed kind of weird to me that was just the photo app has slightly different things like that. Just like how here is different, where these are flipped, where it's photo name versus photos. Sorry, photos name on the title bar versus name dash photos on the taskbar. But that's how it is in the photo app. So anyway, we're one step closer. It's and we can look at the session and we can see. Let's go to the session as it is now. Copy that, and we'll go to our JSON formatter. I'm gonna have a JSON formatter at some point in my IDE in this Monaco. I'm gonna have a button. It's like beep, and it just beautifies the JSON. It'll probably use something similar to this logic. Maybe this is open source. I'll just take this one. I've been using this one for years. It's always fun when like the tools I use, it turns out are open source, and it's like, oh, I'll just use that in my own tool. This does not seem open source though. I don't see. Okay, I could always steal the source, but at the same time, I'll figure it out on my own. Here it is anyways. Let's copy it. Oops, which is copy? Oh, I did copy it. And then we'll go back to Monaco here and paste in that one. And let's look at it in my code editor for something funky to do. Can I zoom in? Not particularly. I could zoom into the browser itself. That makes it bigger, I guess. Oh, now it's too big for its own good. Okay, so here's the structure of the session anyways. So here's those sort orders that it's doing. Oh, nice. This part works too. So we have one for public, for programs. So yeah, it's keeping track of all the sort orders now, and it knows what order the stuff's in. Makes the session file a little more bulky, but that's kind of cool. It's only for the file folders it's open that it has stored sort orders for. And these look much more window-esque. It's got other stuff in here too, the wallpaper image, the fit. These probably don't need to store if this is empty. The theme name, which is default theme. It also keeps track of window state stuff like positions and sizes. Very readable though. For a session file, I feel like it's a very cool and readable one. I'm very happy that it can be that way. Nice. Let's zoom back to normal mode. Another message here from Xanacross. It's looking sick. Are you trying to fully replicate Windows? Yeah, basically. I'm trying to replicate every little feature that I can find. I know there's still some stuff to do. I got some notes on the board, but yeah, slowly but surely these context menus are starting to bulk up, and I'm getting some cool features. It can do some interesting stuff. I've got it working with compressed files too quite a bit, such as this bundle here is actually a zip file. So if I were to rename this to a zip, actually I could have opened it even as it not a zip, and I can go open and open compressed files, and you can look inside those and dig into those and all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, it's coming along, but there's a lot of pieces left before it looks like Windows. So everyone needs to come in the journey with me, I guess. Oh, what happened here? Oh, I found another bug. Cannot convert undefined or null to object keys zip data. That's a weird error. Was that when I opened JS-DOS? Let me try that again. Open up JS-DOS again here. Oh, okay. Oh, because I moved the file, right. Wait, did that matter? Interesting. It seems like it mattered. I'm actually... Okay, I guess it makes sense, yeah. The file is being represented on my fake OS. So when I took it out of this DOS bundle folder, and then I tried to open it here, the shortcut's broken now. Not the most graceful handling of that. If I put it back, and then I try again. Get out of here, Next.js error. Yeah, now it's fine again. Alright, well, that just shows you it's a legit OS. You can actually mess with the files, and they mess with stuff. So the Winamp skins here, those are actually compressed too, so you can open those up and look at the images in them. It's coming along. And now there's file info here. You can't see it, but I'm seeing tooltips that look just like Windows. And my right-click menu is starting to bulk out too. Cut, copy, create shortcut, delete, rename, extract here, download, add to archive, open with, open. All those do things. Let's try extract here. There, it actually made the spyamp folder again and extracted it. The legit folder. And I could right-click that folder and do stuff to it. There's still some things I need to do. Like if I delete this, it doesn't work because it doesn't recursively delete these files. And I can right click these and make an archive, add to archive, and it actually makes a zip file here. I can right click that and press download. I can right click it and extract it again. The same thing I just compressed, and now I got it twice here. It's getting pretty robust. I'm surprised how many things I can do on it now that I've kind of put pieces together. I'm looking forward to the console. That'll be a really fun one. I'm gonna use this X term, which is also the one that's used in VS Code. So this is like a legit console, and I'll be able to, with this, I'll be able to simulate a real terminal, and I'm gonna connect it all to these things as well. So it's gonna work with the file system, and then I'm gonna also link it up with isomorphic Git, so that we'll be able to run Git commands in the browser through that terminal. So I'll be able to open up a terminal here and like literally clone my own source code, open it, edit it in my code, and could probably even commit it, because I think you can, with isomorphic Git, they have cores set up too, so you can do that all in the browser directly. Anyways, I got a lot of dreams for it. It's all on the board. I think probably end of the year I'm gonna release this, and I'm gonna have a big list of what it can do and what it can't do yet. And people can add to that list and that kind of thing. But it'll probably give people an idea of where I'm going with this. But pretty much sky's the limit. I mean, literally almost anytime I do anything on my computer or think about OSs or how computers work, and I think, oh, I could simulate that on my OS, and then I put it on the board. I've gotten through quite a few there. It looks like 50 or 60 up there. Anyways, I'm kind of tail spinning for this video. It's kind of near the end. We're right around the hour 45 minute, which is shorter than usual, but I think we kind of did everything in the commits. We got some people here, which I appreciate. Thanks again to Nick Hill, Autobot, and Xanacross for throwing some comments my way. If you like my video, please throw me a like. If you want to motivate me or keep track of what's going on, see the progress happening here, subscribe to my channel, please. Please, if you want. Don't have to. I don't want to beg you or nothing. And if you want to know totally what's going on, then hit the little bell icon, and you'll be notified of all my workings, my inner workings. Otherwise, that's it for this stream. So thanks for tuning in, and see everybody in the next one. Ciao.